If you are looking for a good quality budget gaming PC build, this video is going to be for you. I will show you 3 different systems, all of them being under $1,000, and I will explain what each of these PCs are capable of running with the average FPS. That way, even if you're a beginner, you are able to understand. I want to mention all of these PCs have brand new parts, so if you want even a cheaper system, you will have PCs with used components in the description, as well with every PC that I will mention on this video. And those PCs with used components are of course going to be cheaper systems. That being said, let's start. With the first system, we have the cheapest one on the list for $550, and I will explain on how to make this PC under $500 in a second, but first I want to explain the components for the $550 one. For the CPU, we have the AMD Ryzen 5 5500 going for $91, honestly great value at this price point. And then for the GPU, we have the Intel Arc A750, which is one of the best budget GPUs on the market right now, and honestly is my favorite one since you get amazing performance for 1080p and you can also start playing at 1440p depending on the game and the settings. Now, we don't have much testing on the Intel Arc A750 online, but in terms of performance is slightly better than the RTX 3060, so taking that into consideration, on a 14 game average at 1080p high quality settings, the RTX 3060 was able to average 116 FPS, so the Intel Arc A750 is going to be able to average around 120 FPS on average, 1080p high quality settings, which is a really nice gaming experience, especially considering you're only spending $550. If you are thinking of playing esports titles, you will be able to run these games at above 200 FPS on average, so you can buy a high refresh rate monitor. Now on that same test, but at 1440p high quality settings, the 3060 was able to average 84 FPS, so the Intel Arc A750 is going to be around the same number. So whether you want a 1080p high FPS experience on a budget or a 1440p 60 plus FPS on average, depending on the game and the settings, this PC is amazing for the price. You also get 1TB of Gen 4 SSD, which is the standard for gaming nowadays. You get 16 gigs of RAM, a beautiful case with plenty of airflow, and a 600 watt 80 plus volt power supply. The only thing that is not going to be amazing is the motherboard, but considering you are spending $550, you are getting a really solid one. Now, if you want to keep the price low at under $500, then you're looking to buy a used GPU, and the one I recommend buying is the AMD RX 5700 XT, which is going around $130 to $150 on average on eBay. So if you buy the same components as this system, but you change the GPU to the RX 5700 XT, the total price will be under $500. And in terms of performance, it's going to be really similar to the Intel Arc A750, maybe slightly better. With the next one, we have a $750 system with the AMD Ryzen 5 5600 for a CPU, which is better than the Ryzen 5 5500 from the last PC. And here we get the RX 6700 XT, which is a much better graphics card than the Intel Arc A750, especially when it comes to 1440p resolution. On that same test at 1440p on high quality settings, where the RTX 3050 or Intel Arc A750 got an average of around 85 FPS on average, the 6700 XT is able to average 114 FPS, and not only that, but you get 12 gigs of VRAM, which is more than the Intel Arc A750, and this is going to be important if you want to play the latest AAA titles on ultra quality settings because of the VRAM. And if you want to play at 1080p on that same test, 1080p high quality settings, the 6700 XT was able to manage 150 FPS on average, so you have no limitations when it comes to 1080p with this system. I think it's a maxed out experience at that resolution, but it's also a nice 1440p high quality gaming PC all around for a decent price of $750. And not only that, but you also get a much better motherboard in the Gigabyte B550M, the S3H, which is not going to be the best motherboard out there, but it is going to be better than the last one. If you want to spend around $700 and save up $50, you can go with the RX 6700 non-XT, which is also decent for 1440p resolution with 10 gigs of VRAM, so it's going to be enough. However, it's going to be around 15% slower than the 6700 XT version. That being said, if you can afford the extra $50, it's going to make a difference when it comes to gaming performance, but if you want to stay on the $700 mark, then the 6700 is worth considering. And with the last PC, we have the best one on the list with the Ryzen 5 5600 once again, but you get the RX 6800 for the GPU, which is a 16 gigs of VRAM GPU, and you can play 1440p ultra quality settings any title, and you can can also start playing at 4K resolution. I wouldn't recommend this system for 1080p gaming since I think it's going to be an overkill. On that same test I've been mentioning on this video, the 6800 was able to average 135 FPS at 1440p high quality settings, so a really good GPU for 1440p ultra settings, but at 4K resolution you can also expect 60 plus FPS on average. That being said, I think it's an amazing CPU GPU combo for the price of $900 for the total system. The main differences on this system instead of the last one, well, first of all, the GPU, I just mentioned the performance difference, which is quite remarkable, but then you get 32 gigs of RAM, which is going to be amazing not only for gaming but also for streaming. Then you get a beautiful case in the DIY PC ARGB Q3, and then we have a 650 watt 80 plus bronze power supply, which is more wattage than the other power supplies I've mentioned before. And on top of that, you get a better CPU cooler in the Thermalright Assassin X RGB edition, which I want to be honest, you can get away with this stock cooler from AMD if you want to save up some money, but having an aftermarket CPU cooler is going to keep the noise levels down, and at the end of the day you will be getting better temps overall. Now this PC is $907 when I'm recording this video. Maybe it's a bit more expensive or a bit cheaper when you're watching this. I do recommend you checking the latest prices for when you're watching this video in the links in the description. And if you have more than $900, you can watch my latest video about the best PC builds for every single budget in the top right of the screen, but on that video every PC is above $1,000, so I highly recommend you watching that one if you want to spend more money. Thank you guys for watching, thank you for the support, and I will see you on the next one.